It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're at the midway point of 2005. We're looking at the two films of July 1st, 2005, and we have Tom Cruise and Steven Spielberg reuniting for the first time since Minority Report, and Martin Lawrence in one of the many sports comedies of 2005. Not one of the good ones, but we'll get to that one in a little bit. But first, let's go ahead and take a look at the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is Tom Cruise and Dakota Fanning in Steven Spielberg's adaptation of H.G. Wells' classic, War of the Worlds. I love that trailer and all, but I gotta interject about the way that the trailer ends, with all the people coming out of their houses and just looking at the sky like, oh, it's beautiful, it's amazing, and it's just like, yeah, it's amazing, but if I'm seeing something like that in the sky, and it looks like it's very, very deadly and serious, I'm getting the hell out of here. I'm getting the hell out of there. I'm not looking at this and going like, oh, it's beautiful, and then just everybody dies because they're just too stupid to run. I mean, it's just like, I mean, I love that scene, I love that trailer and all, but that's something I've always had a problem with that particular trailer, because it's just like, yeah, it's nice and all, but run, because that's clearly something that has never been seen before, and it's just like, but then again, this is one of those movies where, you know, if it was any other, you know, racer, they would have been clearly out of there before. Is when that first strike happens, just like, we're gone, like, we're out of here, but I digress. This is War of the Worlds, like I said, based off of H.G. Wells' classic novel, which is most notable for its legendary performance by Orson Welles on Halloween night in 1938. Now, it's a movie version. It's actually one of several different movie versions. There's even been a television series that was based off of it in the 1980s. But in this movie, Tom Cruise plays an American dock worker who's forced to look after his children, played by Justin Chatwin, and also Dakota Fanning, from whom he lives separately and struggles to protect them and reunite them with their mother when extraterrestrials invade the Earth and devastate cities with towering war machines. Excuse me. So, yeah, I mean, it's not a bad idea, Steven Spielberg tackling a remake of one of the greatest science fiction stories of all time. Plus, you got Tom Cruise again. Like I said, last time these two worked together, they made a great film in Minority Report. I don't know how you can go wrong, but somehow this movie did just that. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad movie by any means necessary, but when the film suffers, it suffers big time. Let's talk about the positives first. The visual effects overall are nicely done. The designs of the alien ship are pretty cool. The plane crash scene is really impressive. You can still see the real plane that they used. If you go on the Universal Studios Hollywood tour, you always see it as soon as you pass the Norman Bates house from Psycho. But other than that, though, sometimes the effects can look pretty bad. Like the aliens sometimes do not look the best in general. I'll get to that in just a little bit here, but it's just like, the cast does a pretty good job working with the material given to them. It's Tom Cruise doing a pretty good job in here. Dakota Fanning's pretty good. Tim Robbins has a nice little role in it, too. I think everybody does their parts very well. Where the film begins to take its inevitable downfall starts with the story department, and the story itself is pretty generic and bland. And while the original film's release of the aliens was a nice little twist that kind of came out of nowhere, when they reveal the aliens in here, it's literally just like, that's it. I mean, these are the most generic-looking aliens, and I mean, it's not even funny, man. I mean, Steven Spielberg, you are better than this, man. You created one of the most memorable alien characters of all time, and you can't make these aliens look unique and stylish on their own? Like it literally is the generic alien design that you've seen done over and over again, and it's not even that cool looking. Once you see the aliens in full on the big screen in full force, it completely takes you out of the movie almost immediately, and it's just like, it just hurts the film in the long run. Like, it's a movie that's just okay. I'll give it that. It's a movie that is just okay. It's not the worst movie ever. It's not even Spielberg's worst movie in general, but it certainly isn't one of his better movies. It's a very mixed bag of a movie where the acting can work. Sometimes a lot of the times the visuals can still hold up, but it's the story that really fails to gain any traction at the end. And I mean, I guess if you want to say that this is the best, I mean, it's really tough to say, because the original 53 version by George Pallin made it, because I think he did When Worlds Collide, which I think was the sequel, if I'm not mistaken. He produced it, he didn't direct it, but that one still holds up a lot better than this one does, even though the visual effects can look very choppy at times, but the way the story plays out and the twist at the end works a lot better in that movie than it does in this movie. Here, it just didn't work for me. It's a film that I wanted so much more from, and like I said, it's not a bad movie. It's definitely not one of Spielberg's worst films in general, but you expect a lot more with a director like Steven Spielberg. You got a writer like David Coep, and a cast led by Tom Cruise. Like, you expect so much more, and it just isn't there, man. It's unfortunate, because there was a lot of things about it that I was really looking forward to it the first time I saw it, and by the end of it, I was just kind of like, like I said, not a bad movie, but certainly not a great movie that it could have been. So, it's a mixed bag opinion on War of the Worlds. So, with that said, on to the last film we have here, and that is Martin Lawrence in the sports comedy Rebound. I think that trailer pretty much sums up everything wrong with this movie, from the bad dated jokes, like, you're telling me Coach Roy wants to coach here? Am I getting punked? Because it's 2005. Punked was a hit in 2003, so already then it was dated. But the jokes just aren't funny, man. Like, the whole thing, like, you're banned from coaching. Well, I'm banishing you for life. Can he ban us? Like, that, and then the scene where he's signing his autograph, and then the car gets taken away. It's just like, this whole movie is just so bad. And, well, I'll tell you the plot about it, because I don't think I really need to tell you more about it, but, Martin Lawrence stars as a disgraced college basketball coach who returns to his old middle school to coach the boys' basketball team. Will they become champions? Of course they're going to be champions. And even if they're not, you're supposed, because this isn't the bad news. I should say this isn't the Bad News Bears, where the team eventually loses, but they still feel like a much better team than the winners of that. We'll get to that a little bit later in the month, because we have the remake coming up. But this movie, this is bad. This is really, really bad. The jokes in the trailer alone should be everything you need to know about how bad this movie is. And I saw this in theaters back in the day. Didn't mind it back then, but as time has gone on, I've realized that, not a good movie. Not a good movie whatsoever. This is probably one of Martin Lawrence's worst movies he's ever done, which says a lot. I mean, something like Black Knight is a bad movie, but Black Knight had an idea to it. There was an idea of what they wanted to do with it. Let's take this black comedian from modern times and send him back into period times. That movie was at least trying. This is not. I mean, this is a movie that is just so by the numbers. It's so bad. It's so poorly put together. It's not even funny, man. Like, this is a movie that is just so lazy, and I mean lazy. Like, this is one of the most inconsistently poorly put together films I have ever seen. Like, this is a lousy film with too good of a cast that's in this movie. I mean, Martin Lawrence is one thing. Wendy Raquel Robinson's another. Breckin Meyer, Horatio Sands, Megan Mullally, Patrick Warburton. You got Alia Shawkat in here. You saw Laura Keitlinger. Just a lot of talented people in this movie. There should be a much better movie here, but it's just not there, man. This is just a film that's so by the numbers. It doesn't even try to do anything funny or clever with it. I mean, like I said, there was a ton of sports comedies released in 2005, but let me tell you something. This is the bottom of the barrel. This is easily the worst one. Even a movie like The Ringer, with Johnny Knoxville having to tend to be retarded, to get into the Special Olympics. I mean, that sounds like the worst idea ever, and yet that movie has more enjoyable factors to it than anything in this movie. I mean, that movie, we'll get to that at the end of the year, but that one's one of those movies that should not work, and yet somehow it does. This one, no. Not even close. It's just poorly put together. It's a film that is so lazy in so many different levels. Like, there's much better sports comedies that came out that year are much better. Kicking and Screaming. The Bad News Bears remake we'll get to. The Longest Yard, which we talked about a couple weeks ago. Just so many better movies out there than this garbage right here. And this is garbage. Like, this is a lazy film. And for Martin Lawrence, this is up there with some of his worst movies he's ever made. I would say it's probably his worst film ever, but then again, we haven't gotten the College Road Trip yet. But that's one I've never seen before, so I have to get ready to look at that one when we get to 2008. But I'm sure that will be up there high on the list, if not worse than this, but we'll get to that when we get to that level. But yeah, this movie is pretty bad. Avoid it like the plague. Not good. Rebound. Not a good movie at all. And so with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. When we meet next time, we'll take a look at 2 more new movies, including The Fantastic Four, the one directed by Tim Story and featuring Jessica Alba as the Invisible Woman, Chris Evans as the Human Torch, Ian Grufford as Mr. Fantastic, and Michael Chiklis as The Thing. Plus also Julian McMahon as Dr. Doom. And somehow it's still better than any other Fantastic Four movie we've gotten since then. But that could change next year, of course, with the next film. But we'll talk more about that next time around. But we also have Jennifer Connelly and John C. Reilly in the horror film Dark Water. So we will take a look at both of those movies on the next episode. But until then, thank you so much for watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the like and subscribe button, and also don't forget to hit the playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. Like I said in the beginning, we're closing in on 4,000 subscribers. We've actually added subscribers since I posted that, since I worked that video into the beginning of the show. Please keep doing that. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button so you get updates. And sooner we hit 4,000, sooner we have, yeah, toy boat. The sooner we hit 4,000 subscribers, hold on one second. The sooner I hit 4,000 subscribers, the sooner I can stop putting that intro in the beginning. Good Lord. Like, I don't know what was going on there. But, anyway, the show is over. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. So until then, next time I see you, take care. I need a rest.